Have you noticed subtle but concerning changes in a loved one's health recently? Changes that make you wonder if something more serious might be happening, but you're not sure what to make of them? Most people assume that death in old age happens suddenly, but the truth is, the body often gives quiet warnings months, even a year, before it reaches its final stage. These signs can be easy to overlook, but understanding them early gives you the power to make the most of the time you have left with your loved ones. In today's video, we're going to reveal 5 key signs that often appear a year before an elderly person passes away. These signs could be the gentle signals that their body is preparing for its final phase. And by recognizing them, you can provide better care, ensure their comfort, and make sure their final moments are filled with dignity and peace. You'll learn how to spot the often overlooked signs of significant weight loss, extreme fatigue, cognitive confusion, frequent infections, and changes in breathing patterns. Signs that might otherwise be dismissed as just part of getting older. But knowing what these changes mean and how to address them can make all the difference in providing your loved ones with the support they need during their final months. If you're truly committed to being there for those you love, you won't want to miss these insights. By understanding these signs, you can prepare emotionally, provide the right care, and create moments that matter most, even when time is running out. Stay with us until the end because this information could change how you care for your loved ones in their final stages of life. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Number 1. Significant weight loss. One of the most heartbreaking and unmistakable signs that someone is approaching the final years of their life is sudden, unintentional weight loss. At first, it may appear so subtle, so small that it might even go unnoticed. A belt that once fit just right may require another notch. Clothes that once hugged the body start hanging a bit more loosely, and meals that used to bring joy and comfort are suddenly less appealing. But make no mistake, these seemingly innocent changes are often the body's quiet way of telling us something is wrong. While many families brush this off as simply a part of aging, the truth is, unplanned weight loss is rarely something benign. It is a warning sign, a signal that the body is no longer functioning as it once did, that vital systems are slowing down, and that a deeply unsettling process may be at play. When the body begins to lose weight without effort, it's not just a matter of a thinner frame. It's the body fighting to maintain equilibrium as it starts to lose its ability to absorb nutrients properly. Muscle mass, so essential for movement, strength, and even for simple daily tasks, begins to deteriorate at an alarming rate. This isn't just an inconvenience. It's a loss of vitality, a visible and painful sign of physical decline. The strength that once allowed a person to move with grace and ease is replaced with a fragile, weakened body. This muscle wasting doesn't just make it harder to walk, it significantly increases the risk of falls, creates a weakened immune system, and opens the door to infections that the body is simply too weak to fend off. Watching someone you love struggle with these effects is gut-wrenching. The realization that their body is no longer able to protect them the way it once could is both painful and terrifying. As we grow older, our bodies naturally begin to shed some muscle mass. This is an undeniable part of aging. But when this happens too quickly, it's more than just a natural progression. It's an alarming sign that something deeper is taking place. The body may no longer be able to properly digest food, or worse, it may not be able to process essential nutrients like protein, which our muscles desperately need to survive. This rapid decline isn't just a physical manifestation. It's an emotional one, too. It's a reminder that no matter how much we wish to hold on to the vitality of our younger years, our bodies are constantly changing, and sometimes they change too quickly for us to keep up. The emotional toll of this process is immense for both the person experiencing it and their loved ones. As appetite fades, eating becomes less about nourishment and more about a distant, unfamiliar act. Elderly individuals may no longer feel the hunger they once did. The foods that once filled them with joy now taste bland, lackluster, and uninviting. Meals are skipped or reduced to mere bites, and eating becomes more of a chore than a pleasure. It's a sad truth that hunger, the body's natural craving for sustenance, diminishes as the body begins its journey toward the end. The body no longer signals the brain to seek food in the same way, because it knows, on some deep and instinctual level, that it is beginning to shut down. And in that silence, in that hollow space where hunger once resided, there is a profound sense of loss. Underlying medical conditions make weight loss even more pronounced. Chronic illnesses such as cancer, heart failure, or kidney disease can silently progress, robbing the body of its ability to retain strength and stability. The damage is often done long before the more obvious symptoms manifest. And even mental health struggles, like depression or cognitive decline, can lead to a diminished appetite and a reluctance to eat. It becomes a vicious cycle. The body, no longer nourished properly, grows weaker, and with that weakness comes a profound emotional toll. There's a quiet desperation in watching someone you care about lose their appetite, not just for food, but for life itself. Some families, in their efforts to care for their loved ones, may try to encourage eating more, offering favorite foods, adding protein drinks, or coaxing with every trick in the book. But when weight continues to plummet despite these efforts, it's a sign that no amount of food can stop the inevitable process. This is no longer about just diet. It's about a body preparing for a transition, a deeper change that is beyond our control. In these moments, it's crucial to shift the focus from forcing more food into the person's body to offering comfort. Foods that are easy to eat, liquids to keep them hydrated, and gentle support become more important than the number on a scale. This is not a time to measure the success of a meal. It's a time to measure the comfort, love, and dignity you provide. If you notice your elderly loved one experiencing significant weight loss, it's not just a cosmetic issue, it's a cry for help from their body. It's about more than just physical appearance. It's a wake-up call. The body is sending a powerful message, one that you must listen to with open eyes, a compassionate heart, and an understanding that the road ahead may be difficult. But recognizing this change, acknowledging it, and preparing for what lies ahead can allow you to offer your loved one the greatest gift. The gift of knowing you are there, fully present, during these final chapters of their life. And in doing so, you can help make each remaining moment meaningful, filled with grace, dignity, and love. Number 2. Extreme fatigue and weakness. As we age, there comes a point when life begins to feel different, like a quiet shift that's hard to ignore. One of the most profound, heart-wrenching changes in the year leading up to the end of life is a kind of fatigue that goes beyond simple tiredness. This is not the usual exhaustion you feel after a long, demanding day. It's a relentless, deep-rooted exhaustion that clings to every part of you and doesn't ease up, no matter how much rest you get. It's the kind of weariness that makes even the simplest tasks feel insurmountable. For those who once lived their lives with energy and zeal, even getting out of bed becomes a monumental task. A walk across the room feels like a struggle against gravity itself, and activities that were once second nature, like preparing a meal, getting dressed, or having a conversation, feel like they require more strength than they can summon. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This isn't something as simple as the natural fatigue of aging, although aging certainly plays a role. It's a powerful signal that the body is beginning to conserve its last reserves of energy, preparing for what's ahead. As organs slow down and the body prioritizes its most essential functions, everything becomes harder. The heart no longer beats with the same force, and circulation weakens. Muscles, which once responded so quickly, no longer receive the same oxygen they once did, making every movement feel like it's being done against a heavy current. The body starts to feel like a vessel that's struggling to keep itself afloat, and that's when the deep, pervasive weakness sets in. It's as if the person is slowly being pulled into a space where the energy they once had to live fully is just gone. It's devastating to witness, especially when they have been so independent for so long. Then, there's the metabolic slowdown, a phenomenon that is both a physical and emotional challenge. Our bodies are built to produce and use energy, but as they approach their final phase, that energy is redirected. Instead of fueling activity, it shifts toward preservation. It's an act of survival, in a way, but a cruel one. Those who are in this decline begin to sleep more, needing naps that seem longer and longer, and they struggle to stay awake during the day. One moment, they might seem fine, and the next, they're completely drained, like a light dimming unexpectedly. It's a constant fluctuation, and it's painful for both the person experiencing it and those who love them. What's most heartbreaking about this process, however, is the emotional toll it takes. For those who spent their entire lives doing for themselves, helping others, and maintaining their independence, fatigue brings an overwhelming sense of loss. It can feel like they're no longer themselves. The frustration they feel when they can't do the things they once did, things that define their life and their identity, can be incredibly isolating. They may feel ashamed or embarrassed, unwilling to admit they're struggling because it feels like giving up. As a result, they withdraw. They stop engaging in conversations, avoid social interactions, and even quit participating in the activities they once loved. Not because they don't care, but because they simply don't have the strength. This withdrawal creates a painful cycle of isolation, where their energy is spent just getting by, leaving them less able to connect with the people who love them. And unfortunately, this isolation only makes everything worse, hastening the decline and increasing the sense of loneliness. For the families who stand by and watch this process unfold, it's agonizing. It's incredibly difficult to watch someone go from being active, engaged, and full of life to exhausted, withdrawn, and vulnerable. Sometimes, in our desperation to help, we mistakenly push them to do more, not realizing that their bodies are sending a much deeper message. We want to see them fight through it, but pushing them isn't the answer. What truly matters during this time is understanding their limits and accepting that they are no longer able to do things in the same way. It's about recognizing the importance of rest and giving them the space to be as comfortable as possible in their final days. It's a delicate balance of letting go of our expectations and embracing the reality of their needs, no matter how hard it is. Number 3. Increasing cognitive confusion or withdrawal. As someone approaches the final stage of life, one of the most heart-wrenching changes often involves their cognitive abilities, the way they think, communicate, and interact with the world around them. It's a slow and painful process that you may witness in a loved one, someone who was once sharp, quick-witted, and fully present in their conversations. But over time, those sharp edges begin to dull. You might notice them forgetting things they've known for years, like names, faces, or even the routine of their day. It's heartbreaking, watching someone who was once fully engaged in life begin to slip into a fog of confusion. Perhaps they start repeating themselves, asking the same questions over and over, unable to track a conversation, or seem disoriented in places that were once familiar to them. Their mind, once a sharp tool, begins to betray them in ways that seem so cruel. They may lose track of time, even hours or days, and it's as though a veil is slowly descending over their reality. For those of us who are close to them, this can feel like a slow and painful farewell, as they seem to slip away a little more each day, even though their body is still with us. This process can often begin months, or even a year, before the inevitable end. It isn't simply forgetfulness that everyone experiences. This is something much more profound. The brain, just like every other organ in our body, requires nourishment, oxygen, nutrients, a steady flow of blood to function well. As the body begins to weaken, as circulation falters, so too does the ability of the brain to stay sharp. The person who once made decisions with ease may now struggle to make even the simplest choices, becoming easily confused and unsure of things that used to be second nature to them. It's as if their mind is slowly fading away, piece by piece, leaving us to watch in helpless sorrow. In many cases, these cognitive changes aren't constant. There may be brief moments where they seem lucid, where their mind clears for a short time, and they are themselves again. But just as quickly, they can slip back into that fog of confusion. It's a cruel cycle, and it can be incredibly hard for loved ones to cope with the sudden fluctuations in their clarity. Along with this mental confusion, emotional withdrawal often sets in. The person who once thrived in social interactions, who loved to share stories and laugh with their family, may now seem distant and disengaged. They may speak less, or even withdraw entirely, preferring solitude or silence over conversation. But it's important to understand, it's not that they've lost their love for those around them, it's that their brain can no longer process emotions in the same way. The act of talking, of engaging with others, becomes draining. Loud environments, once a source of joy, can now feel overwhelming, and slowly, they begin retreating into their world, a world where the noise and chaos of life can no longer reach them. You may also witness changes in their mood and behavior. Some may become irritable, anxious, or easily frustrated, as their cognitive function slips. Others may become eerily calm, detached, or indifferent, seemingly not affected by things that once brought them joy or sorrow. It's not a sudden personality shift. It's the brain's way of reacting to the body's decline. As cognitive function slows, emotions too become harder to express, leaving the person seemingly emotionally distant or unavailable. Watching someone you love grow distant in this way can feel like they're slipping away, not just physically, but emotionally as well. For those of us who love them, this stage is perhaps the most difficult of all. Watching a beloved family member lose themselves, both mentally and emotionally, can be heart-wrenching. It's like a piece of them is already gone long before their body follows. Yet, as hard as it may be, we must remind ourselves that this isn't something they can control. They aren't choosing to withdraw. It's the way their body and mind are adapting to the inevitable. Instead of pushing them to re-engage or forcing them back into conversations that have become too exhausting for them, the most compassionate thing we can do is meet them where they are. Speak gently, offer comfort, and understand that even if they seem withdrawn, even if they don't respond, they can still feel your presence. Sometimes, just being there, sitting beside them, offering a comforting touch or a soft word, is the best way to show them that they are not alone. If you notice these signs of increased forgetfulness, confusion, or emotional withdrawal in a loved one, don't ignore them. These are often early indications that the body and mind are preparing for the final transition. This is a time to slow down, to cherish the quiet moments, and to focus on creating an environment that feels safe, familiar, and peaceful. Because even when words fade, even when the mind seems to withdraw, love and comfort are still powerful forces that can make a profound difference. So, be patient, and let the moments of connection be enough, because love transcends even the greatest of mental barriers. Number 4. Frequent infections and slow healing. As the body winds down, it becomes increasingly vulnerable, and one of the most obvious signs of this decline is a weakened immune system. You might find yourself watching someone you love, someone who was once strong and rarely sick, now catching every cold that goes around. Every little bug seems to knock them down, and illnesses that once seemed minor now take far longer to recover from. A simple cut, a bruise, even a scratch, may take weeks to heal, leaving you heartbroken as you watch their body fight against what once felt like everyday ailments. These aren't just coincidental illnesses. They're signals that the body is no longer capable of defending itself as it once did. The immune system, which once fought off infections with ease, begins to falter. Pneumonia, urinary tract infections, even skin infections, become common, and what was once a simple infection can take weeks or even months to clear up. These infections often don't seem like a big deal at first, but when they happen repeatedly, or when they linger far longer than expected, it's a sign that the body's ability to heal and fight back is weakening. Even antibiotics, which once worked wonders, may no longer seem as effective, and that can feel like a cruel reminder of the inevitability of the aging process. The person may need stronger medications, or more rounds of treatment, but their body may not respond as it used to. Circulation slows, organs weaken, and the body's ability to heal or fight infections becomes compromised. And it's not just internal infections that you need to worry about. Wounds, especially minor ones, can take much longer to heal. You may notice that the smallest scratch or bruise lingers, refusing to heal properly, or it may reopen when it's least expected. Poor circulation means that oxygen and nutrients aren't reaching the skin and tissues as they should, slowing the healing process to a painful crawl. For those who are less mobile, pressure sores can become a serious risk. These wounds, which often form from prolonged pressure on the skin, can lead to dangerous infections if not properly cared for. It's a harsh reminder that the body, once so resilient, is now growing weaker by the day. What makes this even more difficult to bear is that the signs of infections in the final year of life often don't appear as we expect them to. Instead of a high fever or the obvious signs of illness we might associate with infection, an elderly person might simply seem more tired, confused, or disinterested in eating. For many families, this can be especially troubling, as the first sign of a serious infection might be a sudden decline in mental alertness, rather than any obvious physical symptoms. Recognizing these subtle signs early can make a huge difference in how much comfort and support your loved one receives in their final stage of life. And while it's natural to want to fight against these changes, to push for more medications or additional hospital stays, there comes a point where the focus must shift. It's no longer about curing the illness, but about providing comfort and peace. Offering gentle care, ensuring they stay hydrated, keeping their skin clean and moisturized, and reducing unnecessary stress on their body can offer more relief than any amount of medical intervention. The road ahead may be heartbreaking, but by meeting their needs with compassion and understanding, you can help make their final days as comfortable and dignified as possible. Number 5. Major changes in breathing or circulation. As our loved ones approach the final stages of life, one of the most striking and emotional signs is a change in their breathing patterns and circulation. These shifts, though sometimes subtle at first, are often clear indicators that the body is preparing to slow down. I have personally witnessed how these changes can tug at the heart, evoking a sense of helplessness and sorrow. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. You may notice that their breathing becomes slower and shallower, a stark contrast to the steady rhythm of their breath that once filled the room. At times, there may be pauses between breaths, or their breathing may become erratic, speeding up and then slowing down in a way that feels almost unnatural. Watching this happen to someone you care about is heart-wrenching. It's a quiet reminder of the fragility of life. Some individuals experience a specific breathing pattern known as Cheyne-Stokes respiration. It's a rhythmic, almost hypnotic pattern where their breath alternates between deep, rapid inhalations and long pauses. At first, this might seem like a passing moment, but over time, it becomes more frequent and pronounced. The contrast between the calmness of their sleep and the sudden urgency of breath is a painful sight, a poignant symbol of their journey's nearing end. Alongside changes in breathing, weakened circulation becomes increasingly noticeable. It's an unsettling experience to feel the coldness in their hands, feet, or even their ears and nose. Those once warm and familiar touches are replaced by chilling, lifeless skin that speaks volumes about the body's shift in priorities. Blood flow is diverted from the extremities to preserve the vital organs, another reminder that the body is slowing down, just as life itself is. The sight of their skin turning pale or bluish, especially around the fingers and toes, can feel like a deep ache within your chest. It's difficult to ignore the reality that the heart isn't pumping as strongly anymore, and it's a cruel, slow reminder of the inevitable. As if these changes weren't enough, many people also experience increasing shortness of breath, even with the simplest movements. A task as basic as sitting up or speaking can leave them gasping for air. I've seen loved ones struggle with this in such an intimate and painful way. Once vibrant and full of life, now struggling just to speak a few words without needing to catch their breath. This gradual decline in lung function becomes evident when someone who could once walk across the room without hesitation suddenly finds it an exhausting challenge. The fluid buildup in the lungs, making every breath a battle, often results in a persistent cough or gurgling sounds that leave a feeling of heaviness in the chest. For some, this is merely attributed to a cold, but in those nearing the end of life, it is a signal that the lungs themselves are weakening, fighting to keep up with the body's demands. Lying flat may become unbearable for them, and they may seek comfort in propping themselves up on pillows or settling into a recliner just to catch their breath. These subtle, yet significant, shifts can be so hard to witness. They feel like an inevitable unraveling, but they are also a part of the beautiful, albeit painful, natural process of letting go. For family members, seeing these changes unfold can be terrifying. The urge to help, to encourage them to breathe more deeply or to worry that something is wrong, is completely natural. But, as hard as it may be, it's important to understand that these are often simply the body's way of slowing down. There are no quick fixes for these signs. It's not about reversing the changes, but rather helping them find comfort. This is when the true role of caregivers and family members comes into play. Providing a calm, loving presence, offering reassurance, and creating a peaceful environment where they can rest easy. Sometimes, a cool room, a humidifier, or even small sips of water can help ease the discomfort, even if only for a moment. In some cases, medications or oxygen therapy may offer temporary relief, but the focus begins to shift toward comfort and peace rather than a battle to fix the situation. If you notice these changes in breathing, the coldness of their hands and feet, or the telltale bluish tint to their skin, it's a sign to pause and pay attention. These are the body's way of conserving energy and signaling that circulation is slowing down. It's a time to be present with your loved one, to offer them comfort, to share in their quiet moments, and to make them feel safe, loved, and at ease. This is the time when our most meaningful acts of care are shown through the simple acts of being there, listening, and offering warmth, both physical and emotional. As we reflect on everything we've discussed today, I hope you're walking away with a deeper understanding of what to look for when it comes to the changes that come with the natural process of aging. Whether it's the gradual changes in breathing, circulation, or the other signs we've explored, it's important to remember that this journey is unique to each individual, and all we can do is offer support, love, and comfort. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What have you learned from today's video? Is there something new that stood out to you or something you plan to carry with you in your own life? Take a moment to share one thing you've learned and how you'll bring it into practice. If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support means the world, and it helps us continue to create content like this. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.